So there's a whole bunch of skills that you need to learn, but of course, it's your parents who are going to teach them to you, or somebody else in your family, your uncle, an older cousin, your grandparents. There's a lot of people surrounding you that can teach you a whole bunch of things about life. And if you have a great childhood, then you learn all these things. Okay, and by the age of 15, you're ready. School nowadays, it's obsolete. It's like absolute crap. It's the worst thing in the world. You may have, I don't know. School was probably the schooling system that exists nowadays was probably started 200 years ago. Maybe it was useful 200 years ago. It served a certain purpose in society 200 years ago, but you're using the same type of system nowadays when the world has changed. The objectives are changed, the system is the same, so you're not getting anywhere with this system. You need to revamp the whole system. Now, especially with distance learning now, I mean, you can learn anything online. I mean, why do you need a teacher who talks to you when you can have the same type of system, like somebody talking to you? YouTube will do it for you. People have been so gracious. They've taken their time and they said, I have a skill and I want to share it with the world. I'm willing to teach anybody, whether it's origami or cooking papa rellena, which is a Peruvian dish, or anything, or drawing circles, drawing human anatomy, control system, you name it, it's online. You no longer need a school. Learning nowadays should be uh, I'm drawing a blank, but it's uh, um, learning should be done by the person themselves. Um, so you don't need to go to school to learn anything. And I guess some people say, well, I can't motivate myself to learn something, to learn a language or to learn this or that. They need somebody to push them. And probably that's because been, that's the way they've lived their whole lives. That when they're in school, a teacher pushed them, their parents pushed them. You need to have self-taught. That's the word I was looking for. Self-taught. So everybody's going to be self-taught from now on. So the first 15 years, somebody's going to teach you because you know nothing about life. You need to learn a whole bunch of skills to prepare you for life itself. But actually, there's no separation between being a child, being a student, than being working the real world. This thing about going to college and then you move on to the real world and then you retire, splitting life into three parts. This is who invented this? This is not real. Life is a whole. Is one thing. It's a whole. Um, you're always learning. You're always doing. When you're learning something, you're gonna use it's part of the whole procedure. I mean, you learn something, you apply it, and then you become an expert. Everything is part of a whole. There's no such thing as I'm gonna be a student, then I'm gonna be a worker, and then I'm gonna retire. What is this crap? Okay, so now, um, so where am I? I'm talking about work. Oh yeah. So maybe the most important thing is that 80 to 90%, I've seen statistics. Go on YouTube and I think watch a video called Happiness at Work. I believe it's a French production. It's by Arte. I think it's a French-German production, and it's uh, so they talk about happiness at work. It's not what I wished the documentary was about. Um, but they have the statistic at the beginning. I just mentioned where I'm getting my sources. I'm just mentioning my sources. So where I got the statistics from, that in France and in Germany, about 90% of people are not happy at work. But the thing is that leaves 10%, right? But these 80 to 90%, how many people? 80, 100 million people. Maybe it's 40 million people. The workforce in Germany, maybe 30 million in France. I think that would be 50% of the population. So you have people being unhappy at work. So they're surrounded by people who are unhappy at work, who don't want to work. Their parents were also unhappy at work. So they grew up with this mindset of saying, the mindset says work is not natural. You're supposed to hate work. You should work and make money for the weekend and for retirement. And that's a horrible, depressing, vicious circle that you don't want to get into. But luckily, there's a 10% who are happy. In the US, for example, that's also 80 to 90%. I've seen statistics that says, or heard statistics that say that 80% of the population is unhappy at work. So in the US, that's 150 million people. 80% is 120 million. That leaves 30 million who are actually happy at work. So there's a lot of people who actually love their work. And there's stories of people who are 90, 95 years old who are still working. How do you explain those people, the existence of those people, the mindset of those people? They get up and they go to work. They don't want to retire, you know? Okay. So going back to my plan is that you grow up, your first 15 years, you need to spend about 2 years learning about the professions. Because you need to learn what it is that you like, and the only way to learn what you like. You see, the thing is, I don't think it's about you finding what you're meant, or put on earth to do. There's no such thing. You're supposed to try a whole bunch of things, and after you've tried a whole bunch of things, there's some things that appeal to you and some things which you do not. So, and you can also change. So I would say this: you do a rough outline of, you plan your whole career, okay, your whole life, 100 years. Let's say 20 to 40, you do one project. So you're gonna have 20, 40, 60, 80. So 4 life projects, 20 years each. Okay. And you're gonna tell me, well, can I actually work from 60 to 80, from 80 to 100? Go on YouTube, go on, look for a TED Talk by this guy who's 93. Watch it. He's as strong as a bull. He's really fit. He can do one-arm push-ups. This guy's really amazing. And he talks about work. He's saying, no, work is what is a creator of disease. It's therapeutic. He says work is therapeutic because actually it's part of your happiness. It's not necessarily, it's therapeutic if you're not working, but it's part of your happiness. All right. So you have these 4 life projects, and then when you're about 15, then you go through a 2-year training. That would be ideal. What I see is ideal. You go through a 2-year training period where you learn about the professions. Okay, so if you go on Wikipedia and you do a search for the word professions, you're gonna see a list of professions. Maybe it's about 100 in different fields. For example, in movie director, circus performer, physician, architect, engineer, lawyer. I don't know what else there could be. Politician. So there's teacher, dancer, artist, professional athlete. Okay, so there are certain things that you have to do when you're young. If you're going to be a professional athlete, it's going to be between 15 and 35. Okay, you can't do it after that. So you have to choose and pick properly. All right. So what happens? This is the way I see it. This should happen when you're about 10. From 10 to 12, every week, you research a different profession. This will be a 2-year course called the profession. So you pick a profession every week, different profession every week. You learn everything you can about it on the internet. You find out how you go from the skill sets that you have to being an expert. Let's say you have to go to university, you have to do training in this and that. There's different projects in that field, and then you have to shadow a person who's in that profession to know exactly what they do every day. And if they were gracious enough, what they do in a week's time in that profession. So you do this for 100, and then after that you make a presentation, let's say to your parents, and you tell them, this is what I found out this profession, and this is why it would appeal to me or not appeal to me. This is what I could contribute to society through this profession. And you do this for 100 every week for 100 professions, and then you rank them. Then you say, okay, I like these 5 or these 10, and then you decide, okay, right now at age 15, I see myself working on this for 20 years on these 4 projects. These are going to be my 4 projects. And the most important one is the first one, because that's the one you're going to do. Let me take a break.